But here's the basis of which I would like to explain eating disorders. It is so important that we all understand, and the biggest mission that I come to when I speak is to help people understand that eating disorders is not about food. And I know that confuses a lot of people. They're like, then why is it an eating disorder if it's not about food? But it's the mechanism of which they use to deal with these needs. It's always the foundation. So it's how does that person use food? How do they use their body? How do they count calories? What are their rituals around it that help meet each of these needs and or avoid the need? So it might look like something like they have certain rituals of what they do. They do this in the morning, they do this in the afternoon, they count calories during the day, and evening they work out, and that later on that night they plan what they're going to eat the next day. That's a safety bubble. Who's gonna get in that? The life is already set up surrounding what they aren't going to do based solely on food and how they feel about themselves. So that's one way to help them feel safe. Because why? If you don't interact with others, then you don't have to get hurt. No one will make fun of you. No one's going to abandon you. It's a way to try to pseudo meet that need. If somebody is scared of intimacy, they don't have to venture into getting too close with people. They can be as superficial as can be. They perfect the body and they leave out the rest of their personality, and they no longer have to get close to people. So it's a way to avoid intimacy. So as I go on and share more of my personal story, I want you to see it through that light of what is it trying to communicate? What is the eating disorder trying to do? Whether it's over, under eating, binging, and purging, it doesn't matter. It's all fit in there somewhere. And sort of as a side note, I'm quite convinced myself. I like to talk to school counselors about the aspect of if you feel very overwhelmed with all the different issues, the drinking and the drugs and the bullying, and it's like, well, which hat do I put on and which kit do I pull out? It's wearing all these hats. Do the same thing. It's the same needs under there. Gang members, one of the needs that they're trying to meet, they're trying to feel safe. All you have to do is put on the colors and walk outside. Who's going to mess with you? Not too many. I'm not going to. They get the sense of belonging and that trust. They got their back no matter what. It meets that need. All of it can fit in there. So it's important to evaluate those needs for the students that you work with. You can even take this with your own students. You can even look at this with your own life. So before I get into the actual story, I'm going to take you to a little more challenging part, which is your experiences as a little girl or a little boy. How were these needs met for you or not met for you? Did you have a safe environment when you went home? Did you have a place where mom or dad were very trustworthy and you knew that you could honor their word? Did you feel like esteem isn't really the, self-esteem, the bolstered self-esteem, like even if you don't do something well, it's like, that's okay, Johnny, you're still wonderful. Self-esteem is more of this, because of who I am, I'm good. Like I'm born with good qualities. I'm born with gifts. I'm born with a purpose. Knowing that just who you are is okay. Or was it based on what you did at home? Did you have a healthy sense of control at home? All of those. It's so important to evaluate that. Because the more of those issues that are there, and we all have them, there's no shame in that. We just open up the carpet, know that if you're a human walking around, you've got some unmet needs in your life, you've got some patterns in your life. Just a consequence of being alive in the world. So if that is the case, it's important to look at that so it doesn't inhibit the work you do with students. Because that will always be a wall. I know there's a client of mine that she finally opened up and started talking about a rape incident that she had when she was 10. And I asked her if she had talked about it before with any other counselor. And she said, yeah, I tried once. She goes, I started talking about it and the counselor wouldn't go there. So that counselor obviously had issues and was trying to divert it because she wasn't dealing with her own stuff. And that may be something about rape, but what are the other issues that you possibly have a hard time with that you are blocking for someone that you're working with? Anger is always a big one. We like to kick people out of classrooms. We like to give them activities so they're not mad anymore, rather than just letting them feel it and know that they're not going to die. They just can't hurt themselves or others. There's all kinds of things to think about.